Well, good evening, everybody. Yes, let's make Canada great again, CBC. This is a CBC article, and they're using the Make Canada Great Again as, I don't know, probably a third headline. So, the title of the article is Why Immigration Could Make or Break Maxime Bernier's New Party. Depending on where he decides to draw the line on the issue, it could help him or hurt him. Okay, so essentially, today, if you saw my other video, Maxime Bernier announced his new party. I said I was going to do another video taking apart one of his answers, and then I saw this article and I thought, okay, I have to address this because this is exactly what I said was going to happen is happening. So the Globe and Mail already posted an article, and I did a video about that, trying to brand Maxime Bernier as alt-right, and the CBC is kind of joining in here. There's a whole front loading of what Maxime's party's about and what the immigration stuff is about and their Facebook groups. So, quote, Maxime Bernier announces he will leave the you can almost hear the sighs of relief of some of the, quote, People's Network Facebook forum Maxime Bernier set up this week. Many forum participants say they're hungry for a frank conversation about immigration. Yes, everybody says that's what we want. We want to have a frank, honest discussion about immigration. Back to the article. Quote, hey, the great thing about Maxime's party is we're at least having a discussion about this, which is totally verboten in literally every other major party, wrote one participant in response to a question whether national identity can coexist with higher volume of immigration. I agree, responded another. Absolutely, says a third. But just what those Mad Max supporters want to see from their new party on immigration policy appears to vary widely from person to person. And where Bernier chooses to draw the line could have major consequences for him, his new party, and the broader political landscape in Canada. It's a potent issue. Okay, I'm going to jump down a little bit. And it talks about how the history of it so it says here, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government has pushed immigrant levels higher since taking power with the target of welcoming 340,000 immigrants in 2020. For a comparison, Mr. Harper was welcoming 250,000 a year during his tenure, or his last majority government anyway. I don't know if he did it during his entire rule. It may have changed. Okay, so Make Canada Great Again. Back to the article. Quote, last Thursday night, a posting on Bernier's BC Facebook group revealed the challenges he may face in attracting supporters he doesn't necessarily want. Yes, how dare people go to a politician who's speaking to them? Anyway, one account whose avatar featured an Old Norse symbol known as the Valknut, often associated with white supremacists, posted a, quote, Make Canada Great Again meme with picture of Bernier. The same account also posted a screen grab of some of Bernier's tweets about the cult of diversity and added the comment, yes, Mr. Bernier, this cult must be destroyed. Okay, so again, agreeing with the politician and cutting his tweets into something that, and I'm not advocating the use of any white supremacy symbols, but at the same time saying, I mean, just about every graphic has been used by somebody who somebody disagrees with. So the implication is, I mean, if you're looking to be offended, you're going to find something to offend you, I think is what I'm trying to say. Okay, many other users were quick to condemn the post and the symbols. You and your tiki torch people are not welcome here, one wrote. Quote, already fake accounts are popping up covered in hate symbols, said another. If this group isn't banning racists flashing swastikas and Valknuts, this is over before it started. CBC will eat Bernier alive, ban these idiot admins before they ruin any shot. So people want to have a choice, they want to have the debate, and they're willing to agree that, yeah, there are people who can go too far right. White supremacy is not the answer, and I agree with that. White supremacy is not what anybody is wanting out of these conversations. It's a valid, fact-based conversation about immigration and the direction our country is going and what do we want. What do we want it to look like in the next 15 and 20 years? What do you want your children to grow up into in the next 15 or 20 years? Do you want to continue a trade war that we lose with our biggest trading partner who buys 75% of our production? Do you want a government that's willing to buy all that stuff? Okay, that was me off the cuff. Now I'm going back to the article. Earlier in the day, Bernier had emailed the CBC about his policy of removing some comments. We are removing comments with hate speech or extremist views when we catch them, he said. Okay, and I'm going to make a quick announcement here. I'm going to do the same thing. Anybody talking about whites are better or anything to that effect, I'm going to remove it. I'm just going to remove it without even engaging or anything to that effect. I don't want to be associated with that kind of stuff. That's not what I agree with. That's not what I preach. I've been leaving it alone up until now, but now I'm going to address it and I'm going to remove it. It's gone. Sorry, guys. If you think like that and you think that I should think like that, well, I'm sorry that you misunderstood what I've said, and I don't think like that. So just to be really, really clear, okay? And I'll be removing any posts that allude to supremacy of any race over anybody else, okay? Period. Not just white people, like not just white. If somebody comes in saying, yeah, Asians are way better. No, sorry, I'll remove that too, okay? Or blacks or anybody, it doesn't matter. We're all the same, okay? Okay, back to the article. Quote, Bernier fans show a diverse range of views. One participant identifying himself, okay, so they're kind of doxing people here, says that he hopes Bernier, quote, goes hard on immigration reform. I also hope he reduces it by 100K instead of 50K per year. Another, and then they doxed the person's name and wrote that the total immigration level should be cut to 50,000 per year, and then those immigrants should come solely from Western democracies. Others called for an end to immigration altogether, but many others taking part in the forum rejected those calls. Canada is a country primarily made up of immigrants, wrote one participant under the name, doesn't matter. We would be nothing like we are or aspiring to be without immigrants. We have an aging population and we need skilled workers to live here, pay taxes, and become part of our country. I would support increasing annual immigration, wrote another. And I think my point is, why aren't we incentivizing people to have babies? Why are we relying 100% or even the amount we are? And I admit I don't know what that amount is at this point, but at this point, if we have to have a conversation where we absolutely have to bring people into the country and this is becoming a problem, then hey, maybe we should have been talking about this a lot more, a lot sooner, right? If that's a huge problem, maybe we should also not be vilifying people for making the choice to want to have children. Maybe we should have an economy that doesn't require 2 full-time salaries to buy a small apartment in the biggest city in the province. Anybody want to have those conversations? No, you want us to shut up and keep paying taxes and keep paying for people to walk across our border and live in hotels? Get bent. Okay, sorry. So easy to cross into dangerous territory, blah, blah, blah. So basically, they're trying to justify, like, hey, we gave them a chance, and they're white supremacists. But Mr. Bernier, can you respond to this?
During your leadership, you said that you can't help who supports you. Some people who may have extreme views online, they support you. You can't tell people not to support you. I wonder, now that you're a leader of a new party, is there anybody you would say explicitly has no place in the People's Party? I'm thinking about people who may want to limit immigration, but for xenophobic or racist reasons.
They don't have a place in our party. They don't have a place. I don't share these values. It's clear.
And he says it again in French. And I thought that, like, I don't know how much more clear you need to be. Like, I spent way too much time on this, but I just kept ranting. But yeah, I don't know how much more clear you need to be. Did you guys watch the same press conference that I did? Obviously not. Okay, so this is not the one I need. This is the one I need. Okay, I said in my other one, this is a really dense answer. So I'm going to let you hear the question and the answer, and then I'm going to break it down a little bit. Sorry it's going to take so long.
What makes you believe that you will succeed where Preston Manning and others were not able to form a government? Do you want to be an opposition party or form a government? No, we want to form a government. We're going to be running 338 candidates. We will be competitive. So what's the difference? Well, we're a party that is a coalition of people who are fed up with traditional policies where politicians say one thing one day and the opposite the next day. We want to have authentic policies, and we have the courage of our convictions. There are debates that have to be held in Canada. That's necessary now. And for us, this movement is building. We have the social networks that are different. That's different from Mr. Manning's time. Those networks did not exist. And we're using these networks to try and draw attention to what we're saying and bring in members to this party. As you saw last week, we created a Facebook page where people immediately began to join us. So we have built this organization, and we will be continuing to build it. But we think we can attract people who, as I say, are fed up with current politics. The 30% of Canadians who never vote in a general election, can. And I believe that we can attract also disappointed liberals who don't like the liberals' deficits and their high taxes. Liberals who liked balanced budgets under Chretien and Martin. We also think we can attract people who are socialists and who want policies in place that will help the poorest members of society, such as the abolition of the cartel of supply management. So I think we can attract those people. We can also attract them by getting rid of business subsidies. This is not just a slogan, it's a reality. There are 5 government agencies that distribute subsidies to businesses across Canada, and we have to get rid of that, save that money, and lower taxes for all businesses in Canada. So with a platform that's based on principles such as freedom and fairness and respect and responsibility, we think we can attract many, many Canadians to this movement, Canadians who want real change in this country.
Okay, so, man, you get to the end of that, and you're like, what the hell question was he answering again? What question? What did they ask him? What did they ask him? What makes you think that you will succeed when Preston Manning failed? Okay, so as I said, this is a big breakdown. So he initially said, this is a coalition of people, and I don't know Preston Manning's reform history like some of my friends do, some of my still CPC supporting friends. Fair enough, it's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. We live in a free, democratic country. But I don't know the whole history, so I can't comment so much on that. So he's saying that what makes me different from Preston Manning is we're a coalition of people who are sick of traditional politicians, and when they hold one position one day and another the next day. And he says a whole bunch of other stuff. And so my advice to you, Mr. Bernier, is focus your answer, okay? So we're going to go through what else you said. You said this movement is building. So you talk about Facebook. We have social networks, and that's different than in Mr. Manning's time. We're using these networks, and we're seeing a lot of attention. We're using them to draw attention to our ideas and encourage people to join us. And then he goes off into talking about which people he can attract. So he says that people who are fed up with current politicians, that's about 30% of people, and they don't vote. And he thinks that they can pull voters from that pool. He says we can attract liberals who don't like deficits, liberals who like balanced budgets like under Chretien and Martin. He says we can attract socialists by offering up good policies to help the poorest in our society. One example is getting rid of supply management. He said we can attract conservatives by getting rid of business subsidies. And then he gets kind of wonky here too. He gets even into the weeds. He goes, okay, there's 5 agencies that distribute subsidies to businesses across Canada. Get rid of that, save the money, lower the taxes for all businesses across Canada. And then he says and he tries to tie it all up into a nice little bow and says my platform's, on principles, based on principles such as freedom, fairness, respect, and responsibility, which great. I like it and I appreciate it. What you need to do, sir, is do a video for each one of those. Talk to the camera and tell us why each one of those, what position you hold and why, and just put it out there. That'll give your supporters a really good understanding of what you stand for, and B, something to share with people who are not sure, who are on the fence, who want to know what you're about, but don't have time to sit here and dig through to find the second and a half or the minute and a half that you talk about exactly what they're looking for, right? Tell us what you feel about Bill C-46. I know that you do in this conference, but a lot of people don't. So tell us, make it accessible, make it easy. People like me will broadcast it out, but you've got to give it to us. And this way you can control the message and the questions in this situation with this. And I mean, I don't think you should stop doing these pressers, sir. You should do these pressers, but in this situation, they get to frame the question any way they like. In the other situation, you get to sit down and talk to the voter directly without the lens of the press filtering it in the way that they want. Okay, so that's it for me tonight. Have a great one, everybody. Thanks for sticking with me. And peoplesparty.ca. Link will be in the description. Thanks so much.